In December 1999, she suddenly appeared in my house. In the evening, my dad called me downstairs, but when I was about to go down, he was standing at the end of the stairs and reached out his hand to stop me. His eyes looked something nervous, and I felt that something was wrong. "You have to keep in mind what I'm saying now," my dad said. "You're going to see someone in our house. Just focus on me. Don't be as conscious of her as you can." I almost burst into laughter. I was 12 years old and I took the situation as a joke from him. However, he continued talking before I could answer. "She's going to whisper something and she's going to do everything to follow you or get your attention. It's going to be really hard to ignore. But son, you must never mix words with her for any reason. If you pretend she doesn't exist, she'll leave here. Will you do that?" Countless questions passed through my head, but I answered my dad, "Okay," since I was scared at the time. "Okay, it's time for dinner. Let's go downstairs. What I told you about her made her stronger, but this is the only way I have. I just wanted to avoid you running into her by accident. Trust me. Now focus." I followed him downstairs slowly, focusing only on him, heading to the kitchen as he said. The downstairs had a cool atmosphere, as if the temperature had dropped sharply, and smelled sour. A raccoon once died in the wall of my house, and it smelled so bad that it kept going inside for a while. My dad and I sat at the table at the same time. My sister was sitting across from me, looking down at the empty plate in front of her, and my mom was taking food out of the oven, and I could see the signs of crying around her eyes. Well, I tried to concentrate on my family, but then I noticed something gray-skinned with black hair standing at the corner of the room. The atmosphere of the kitchen was subdued, and there was no laughter or warmth that could be seen in our kitchen as usual. My sister grabbed my knee under the table and whispered, "Do you see her too?" I nodded quietly. "Be quiet," my dad said threateningly. Then the woman approached with a soggy sound of footsteps, and I could smell a terrible stench from her. She walked slowly toward the table and stopped right behind my sister. Then she stood close to my sister and put her dried, skinny hand on her shoulders. My sister crouched down and looked at me, and I lowered my head hurriedly. Mom forced herself to act as if everything was okay as she prepared dinner. Under the table, I could see my dad was holding her hand tightly so that she wouldn't go crazy. My sister had to keep those unpleasant, skinny hands on her shoulders all evening, and only an incomprehensible whisper from the woman's mouth filled the kitchen. We lived like that for months, trying our best to pretend nothing happened. During this hellish time, my parents didn't invite any guests to our house and didn't allow us to go to our friend's house. When we were talking about her, we could whisper to each other as long as she wasn't too close. My dad asked me to not tell anyone about her, and that was how to isolate this woman. We made a conclusion that she seems invisible to others until they know about her existence. A few years later, I found out that my dad was the one who brought her in. In the 70s, my aunt ran into her for some reason, and since then she seems to have followed my aunt and lived together. And in 1999, this time, my dad couldn't get rid of his thoughts about her for some reason. Then she followed him. We tried to remain not telling about her, and this was the most difficult thing in our lives. She was with us when we left home, or were in the car. We couldn't act separately. It was the hardest time for my mom, who had to be home alone after we went to school and my dad went to work. One snowy night in February, we had dinner and my mom went up to bed a little early, and the woman was sitting on my parents' bed. Unfortunately, my mom couldn't take it any longer. I heard my mom screaming in the bedroom, "Please, leave my family alone!" Dad's face turned deadly pale with fear and jumped up to stop her. And that was the last time I saw her. The woman was still there, but Mom disappeared forever, and the pool of blood on the white carpet was all that was left. For weeks, the woman whispered to me, "I'll let you see your mother again, so just ask me what to do." However, I never did that. The reason I'm telling you about this story is because I want you to think about her. For the first time in 18 years, I saw her again this morning. I don't want to lose my wife or put my children in the same danger. I want you to imagine she's in your house. Then she'll leave me alone, maybe. Now you're already involved, and someday she will visit your house. You should never be conscious of her. It's the only way for you.